Welcome to a game between rtwfroody versus StStephenHawking. Here we can see StStephenHawking with the Spider Factory and an Engineer Commander. Here we can see rtwfroody. You can see him starting, I'm just gonna call him Frodo here on out. You can see him starting shield bots. And this map is a tricky map to play. There's a lot of choices where you can go and expand to these mixes and raid these mixes, or you try to expand to the middle, and there's the center is divided here by this hill. And there's these high ground that you can also use. And yeah, this is an interesting matchup. It's shield boss against spiders, so spiders can abuse these cliffs and put their units up there, like recluses or hermits or crabes are really good on those hills. So that's something you have to watch out for. At the start, you should probably be turning your commander on high priority. You can see here, and also this expanding con, you want to get up your mexes and your energy up fast. Right now, you're diverting as much resource to this factory as you're diverting to building these mexes and energy. And yes, that's something to consider. So you want... This map is tricky because there could be coming out a raider, and here comes your first scout. Like, yeah, you want to scout early, you want to know what the enemy is, and you didn't get to retreat from this Venom in time. He started with a Venom, so that's a kind of defensive start for a Spider player. To start with a Venom, that's kind of slow. Like, the Venom is pretty good in defense, but it's generally not good in offense, because it can stun and deal a bit of damage, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage. So if there's two units shooting at it while it's only stunning one of them, it's gonna die pretty quickly. And yeah, you can see here, you still have your commander on and factors. Everything is a medium priority. You really want to prioritize building these mixes. Like this convict, this con is gonna spend a lot of time walking, so you don't want to spend more. Basically, you're just by walking, you're spending build power. Like, it's not building. It has to walk there, and it can't build while moving. So basically, you're wasting build power for this constructor while it's walking there, and now it's wasting even more time because it's only building at about 30% of its speed. I mean, half its speed. A little more than half its speed. Here we get another bandit cocked by the Venom. So, like, you have seen one Venom. So, yeah, you should try to send out, like, bandits in groups of, like, 3. So then you might be able to, like, flank it, so you don't so the Venom can stun them all. Yeah, and you go in for these mexes early. Those mexes are pretty good. Like, this variety of value. Like, this mex is one of the best mex on this map. It's 2.74 and these are 2.36. So that's a really good mix. You could have just grabbed it while you were walking past there. Yeah. Your commander. Like, this is a very defensive expand with your command. On this map, I would recommend to be a more like offensive expanding with your commander. Because the commander is a pretty good unit. It's basically 1 or 2 riots, maybe even 3 riots, it depends. So yeah, bringing this out on the map means you have build power and a riot basically. And yeah, and it looks like the spider player is pushing out the redbacks and venoms. And that's something to contest against the raiders with. But personally, I would be spamming more raiders. Yeah. But you can see here, at this point you're already a bit behind in economy. And it's largely because these cons that are expanding are not on high priority. You should really put them on high priority so these mixes get built faster. Yeah, and sending out one rogue like this with one bandit as escort, that's not a good idea in my opinion. Yeah, especially when there are venoms around. Like, the venom is gonna stun a bandit and then a flees, or the venom can like go in and finish the rogue off. So yeah, sending out these small groups, I don't see the point. Like sending one lone bandits against the enemy, that's just against venoms and redbacks, that's just losing them for no gain. Sending out lone rogues against spiders, I would also not recommend. Either it can get run down by venom, or it can get run down by fleas. So you don't want to send out lone rogues either. Yeah. And maybe you can finally get this venom. Maybe. Not quite. If you had some more bandits here, maybe. But yeah, now these... yeah, you get up this turret at least, so you might hold. Yeah, so at this point, like, the enemy has a pretty defensive expand, so it would have been hard to exploit it, like, he has built lotus turrets all over. But if you could raid with like 5 or 10 bandits coming in here, that's a pretty hard thing to deal with for spiders. Like, you can avoid redbacks, mostly, and venoms you can kind of overrun, so it's a thing to consider. Like using this, you had 2 bandits and 1 rogue, and the 2 bandits went in and died, and now the rogue is defenseless. So yeah, it might die there to a single flea basically. Ah, it just saved itself. That was kind of lucky. Oh, we were lucky that this rogue got that recluse. And now there's another unit just standing there and getting fired at. So yeah, how are you doing economically? You're accessing a bit of metal. You always want to try and avoid accessing metal. Like, you're a bit behind the metal produced, but not very far. But you're even more behind in metal used, because you're not building enough. You started accessing at this point. Yeah, it's time to build some caretakers, so build more plates around the factory, and you started doing that, but it was a little bit late. So yeah. And this commander is also idle. It could be doing something. And this clown is also idle. It should be like, after it's done, you could have like queued up more mexes here with a lotus turret followed. Like, if you have bandits, you can choose to either go for lotus turrets or bandits if you want to protect against fleas. And you're sending this army forward. Yeah, you can see that the spider play. Oh, he even has a crab. That's just retreat if you see a crab in this situation. I guess, yeah, you can't really do much. It's also a thing to consider when you're shield bots. Like, you have to be really aggressive and effective with your rogues and bandits if you want to go for that style, because otherwise rogues get outranged by recluses and will lose en masse. And then there's also the crave, which counters rogues. Yeah, you have a bandit here protecting your con. That is nice. That's a good thing to have. But yeah, you can see these recluses just slowly like killing these. And at this point, it's starting to get hard to fight a spider player on this map when you're trying to go for this more defensive style. Like, I would recommend going for a much more aggressive style with bandits. Like, you might even want to go pure bandits on this map for as long as you can, because once, like in this situation, once the enemy has like gotten a few crabs or a few hermits up this ridge, it's hard to deal with as shield bots. Like, this crab on the high ground is just, how are you gonna get that? Like, how are you gonna get that? Like, those thugs are completely outmatched. They can't even fire up this high. So yeah, rogues can hit that high, but they're not gonna deal much damage to a enclosed crab. It has 16,000 health when it's like bunched up like this. It takes 75. It only takes 25% damage. So yeah, it's basically 16,000 HP on this crab. And then if it gets a bit low, you can sort of retreat it against rogues. So yeah, like, they're even getting outranged from this range, like far. So yeah, this is a no-go zone basically now. And the Hermes here, yeah, this is also a no-go zone. So that's the thing when you're having a slow armor like this and you're a little bit behind as shield bots, you're just gonna be in a real big trouble. Like, yeah, value loss is spiking here, and yeah, you're getting your metal excess, but yeah, in control, but yeah, you excess 2200 metal before you could stop it. So yeah, that's quite a lot. Like, imagine having 2000 metal of bandits. How many bandits are there? That's like 20, yeah. More, oh, 20, almost 30, like, yeah, almost 30 bandits roaming around here. Imagine having that coming here. And at this point he has even stopped building redbacks and venoms. So he only has very slow crabes and recluse. So imagine having like 10 bandits going here, 10 bandits going here, discovering this outpost. You can overrun this easily with 10 bandits. You go here with some bandits and there's no defenses here, and the commander has to come there. If you send like 20 of those here, yeah, the commander can't defend against that. Not 10. 10 bandits is a bit, yeah, that's too hairy. Like a commander against 10 bandits, that's not the fight you want to take as a commander. So imagine coming in with like, yeah, 10 bandits here, 10 bandits here, going sweeping in here, threatening the commander. He has to retreat to his safe zone here, and like also having like 10 bandits here going in. Yeah, they can do a lot of damage. Like, you let this expansion get up without any harassment. You have this army here, so I don't know what it's doing, but it's not doing anything here. Like this con, you got past it even. Yeah, it's a tricky map. It takes a lot of micro. Like you can see here, you were attacking a crab straight on, and you just had one racketeer. Racketeers can theoretically counter a crab, but yeah, not really. So once it's enclosed, it's really hard to deal with. Yeah. You really need to like get out 2-3 racketeers, hit it constantly so it stays disarmed, and then you can hit it with the shield ball and make sure your shield ball is not drained before that. It's tricky. Like, you're gonna get this crab now thanks to these racketeers, but here comes another crab, and yeah, how many racketeers do you have? You had 2. That should disarm it pretty fast. Yeah, and you got it almost disarmed now. Not quite. Yeah, a bit disarmed. That's 1 second disarm. Still getting a few shots out. Oh, when a felon goes down there. Yeah, so 1 racketeer is not really enough against a full hail crab. Now it does damage. It's gonna be able to stun it almost always, but not quite. So yeah. Even though you had this big army against a single crab, you were still getting a lot of losses. So yeah, making sure that you keep the racketeers alive so that you have 2 or 3 racketeers per crab, and then trying to kill them once the yeah, the crab is low. That's essential. Yeah, but yeah, at this point the spider play is pretty far ahead. Yeah, he's starting to approach like twice your value. He's even raiding with crabs here. That's really tricky to deal with. Yeah, on this map, if you're playing against spiders as shield boss, you have to be much more aggressive in the early game. Like, you should expand also aggressively. Like, it's easy to protect your expansion with a few Lotus turrets and a few bandits. If you have the time and attention, you can use basically only bandits to counter fleas. But if you want a bit more like relaxed playstyle, you can use Lotus turrets. That's fine. But it's having to build 1 Lotus turret at each mech like this. That's a bit excessive. Like, yeah, you want to protect this high value mechs, and the geothermal, yeah. So yeah, it's something to consider. But yeah, on this map there should be a lot of raiding going on. Like, you should be receiving raiders here, raiders here, raiders here, while also expanding if you can keep up the micro. Otherwise, in the late game, if the enemy gets the high ground like this, you can't do much about it as shield boss. You have to switch to like gunships or air or something. Maybe like a pretty good switch, which it does work so on this map. Like you can switch into jump bots. They have the Firewalker, which counters Recluse very well, and then also the Juggernaut, which counters Crabes pretty well. Like if a Crabe is up here, you can jump, you can either get close to these cliffs and drag it down with Juggernaut, or you can jump on top of here and try to push away the Crabe down to the high ground into your Shieldbot army. And yeah, Firewalkers, yeah, they might, like, if there's a Crabe on this hill, they're not gonna do much to it, but otherwise they're pretty good. Like, yeah, you didn't get much done against this base, yeah. Too many Crabes and too many Recluse and too many Hermits. So yeah, StStephenHawking went for mostly the good combo here, like making Recluse and Crab basically. That's really hard to deal with late game for the Shieldbot player on this map. So he made the right unit choices in that regard, while Racketeers are good, like it's the only counter basically that shields have against a Crab. So yeah. They're kind of the right choice, but you also have to keep them aligned, try to focus target, focus fire the Crab if you want to kill it. Yeah. So yeah, what else is there to say? Like Crabes can really anchor the spider army. Like it's something that Recluses can kind of hide behind, and the Hermits and the Redbacks. But yeah, even Recluse is really hard for Shieldbots to deal with. So yeah. Comes a Crab against your commander. So what else is there to say? Yeah, as a summary, I would suggest having your expanding cons and your income, like your production of solar collectors and metal extractors on high priority. And I recommend setting, like, alternatively you can just set your factory on low priority. That way the factory units won't be prioritized. And that will increase, like, you got behind pretty early in metal produce. Yeah, and then also be ready for this, like if you get a spike in income, be ready for that, so you don't excess 2000 metal. That was like pretty early. Like you can see here, like if you had a difference here between 2000 value, imagine that being bandits roaming around the map, that would have made a huge difference. Yeah, and don't be afraid to raid hard against a spider player. Like they're gonna have to struggle to deal with the mobility of the bandits. You can overrun Venoms. Fleas are very flimsy if they try to kill the bandits, and Redbacks are pretty slow. So yeah. And late game against spiders, you need to have a plan. Recluse basically, with a few Redback as support, basically counters the whole Shieldbot factor. So you need to have something that's ready to deal with them. Either you try to get an economic advantage by raining hard with bandits, or you have to switch into something else. Crabes, you can theoretically deal with Racketeers, so if you have good micro and you keep the Racketeers alive, but on this middle ground, you're not really gonna touch the Crabes. Yeah, it's too hard to counter. So be ready to switch into something, Firewalkers, gunships, Yeah, like juggernauts. Yeah, think about some switch. Yeah, well, good luck and see you next time.